If you could wipe the slate clean tomorrow, start your whole life over from zero, no money, no habits, no plan, just you and a fresh start, would you actually know what to do? Because I've had to start over more times than I'd like to admit. And if I had to do it all again from nothing, this is exactly how I'd do it. I'm not going to hand you some perfect 10-step system that fixes your entire life by Friday. That stuff doesn't work, and honestly, the people selling it know it doesn't work. What I've got is simpler than that, and it's real, because it's the stuff I actually learned the hard way. I've started over after failed businesses. I've started over after channels that went nowhere. I've started over broke, tired, and feeling like I'd wasted a bunch of time. So this isn't theory for me. This is just me, talking to you, telling you what I'd do if I had to build it all back from the ground up. Stick with me, because some of these are going to sound too simple to matter, and those are usually the ones that matter most. Let me start with the thing nobody wants to hear. Starting over is not a big dramatic moment. We picture it like a movie. You wake up one morning, music playing, and suddenly you're a brand new person with a brand new life. That's not how it works. That fantasy is actually part of what keeps you stuck, because you keep waiting for the big moment to arrive, and it never does. Real starting over is quiet. It's boring. It's one small choice made on a random Tuesday when nobody's watching and you don't even feel that motivated. That's it. That's the whole thing. The people who actually turned their lives around didn't find some secret. They just started small, stayed consistent, and let it add up while everyone else waited for lightning to strike. So the first thing I'd do if I started over is drop the idea that I need to feel ready. You're never going to feel ready. Ready is a feeling that shows up after you start, not before. So let's get into what I'd actually do. What I'd do first, forgive the old me. The very first thing, before habits, before money, before any of it, I would stop dragging the old me around. Here's what I mean. When most people try to start over, they carry the entire weight of every mistake they've ever made with them. Every failure, every wasted year, every dumb decision, all of it strapped to their back while they try to move forward. And then they wonder why it feels impossible. You can't sprint while carrying your whole past on your shoulders. I did this for a long time. After my businesses failed, I'd sit there and replay all of it. All the money I lost, all the time I burned. I treated it like proof that I was behind, like proof that I'd ruined something. And that story kept me frozen, because if you believe you've already blown it, why would you even try? So if I started over, the first real move would be to forgive the version of me that got it wrong. Not in some soft, feel-good way, in a practical way. That guy was working with less information than I have now. He did the best he could with what he knew. And every mistake he made is the exact reason I know better today. You are not behind. You're just carrying stuff you're allowed to put down. Put it down. You'll move so much faster. The second move, start stupidly small. Okay, so once the weight is off, here's where most people mess it up. They get a burst of energy and they try to change everything at once. New diet, new gym routine, new sleep schedule, new business, new everything, all starting Monday. And it feels amazing for about 4 days. Then life happens, they miss one day, the whole thing collapses, and they feel like a failure again. You've probably lived that cycle. I definitely have. So if I started over, I would go the opposite direction. I would start so small it almost feels silly. If I wanted to get fit, I wouldn't commit to an hour at the gym every day. I'd commit to putting my shoes on and walking out the door. That's it. If I wanted to read more, I wouldn't say 30 pages a day. I'd say 1 page. If I wanted to get disciplined, I'd make my bed every morning and let that be the win. And I know that sounds too small to matter. But here's the thing you have to understand. In the beginning, the size of the habit doesn't matter at all. What matters is that you become a person who keeps promises to themselves. That's the real game. Every time you say you'll do something small and then you actually do it, you're rebuilding trust with yourself. And that trust is the foundation everything else gets built on. You can't build a new life on a cracked foundation of broken promises. So you start small, you keep the promise, and you let the trust grow. The size comes later. The consistency comes first. The third move, fix what goes into your head. Here's one people really underestimate. If I started over, I would take a hard look at what I'm putting into my head every single day, because that quietly runs your whole life. Think about it. Whatever you feed your mind, it becomes what you think about. And what you think about becomes what you do. Right now, for most of us, the main thing feeding our minds is a phone. Hours of it. And a lot of what's on there is designed to keep you scrolling, keep you comparing, keep you anxious, keep you feeling like you're not enough, so you'll keep scrolling to feel better, which you never do. So if I started fresh, I'd get intentional about my inputs. I'd look at who I follow, and I'd cut anyone who makes me feel like garbage about myself. Not because they're bad people, but because I don't need that voice in my head every morning. I'd follow people who make me want to build something, not people who make me want to give up. I'd swap even a little of that scrolling time for something that fills me up instead of draining me. A walk, a book, a conversation with someone real. You become what you consume. If your inputs are noise and comparison and outrage, your inside is going to feel like noise and comparison and outrage. Clean up what goes in, and what comes out changes on its own. It's one of the quietest changes you can make, and one of the most powerful. And this is honestly the heart of why this channel is called what it's called. Keep it simple. Because notice what I have not done so far. I haven't given you a complicated system. I haven't told you to track 40 metrics or follow some guru's 12-part morning routine that takes 3 hours. Every time I tried to start over with something complicated, I failed. Every single time. The plan was too big, too fragile, too many moving parts, and the moment one piece fell, the whole thing came down. The times it actually worked were the times I kept it stupidly simple. One small habit, one clear input, one promise kept. That's the whole secret, if there even is one. When you're rebuilding, complexity is the enemy. Complexity is just a fancy way to quit, because it gives you 100 ways to fall off. Simple is what you can actually keep doing on your worst day, when you're tired and unmotivated and everything feels heavy. And your worst days are exactly when it counts. So keep it simple. Not because simple is cute, but because simple is the only thing that survives real life. The fourth move, the money part. All right, let's talk about money. Because if I started over with nothing, this is where a lot of the fear would live. And I want to be honest and simple about it, not sell you a get-rich dream, because I fell for plenty of those and they cost me. Here's the first thing I'd get straight. Starting over with money is not about some clever trick or the perfect investment or a secret side hustle. At the start, it's about two boring things: spending less than you make and keeping the gap. That's it. That's the foundation everybody skips because it's not exciting. So if I started from zero, I would first just look, honestly, at where my money actually goes. Not guess. Look. Most people have no idea, and the not knowing is where it all leaks out. I'd write down what comes in and what goes out for 1 month. No judgment, just the truth. And I promise you'd find money you didn't know you were losing. Then I'd build the smallest possible safety net. Not a fortune. Just a little cushion so that one bad week doesn't turn into a disaster. Even a small buffer changes how you feel. It takes the panic out. And panic is what makes people make desperate money decisions. And only after that would I think about earning more. Not before. Because here's the trap I fell into. I kept chasing more income, drop shipping, print on demand, all of it, while my basics were a mess. And it doesn't matter how much comes in if it all leaks out the bottom. Fix the leak first. Then, when you go to earn more, keep it simple there too. Get good at one thing people will pay for. One skill, done well, beats 10 schemes done badly. I learnt that the expensive way so you don't have to. The fifth move, take care of the machine. Here's one that sounds obvious but changes everything, and I'd put it near the top if I started over. I would take care of my body, because your body is the machine that does everything else. You can have the best plan in the world, but if you're running on no sleep, junk food, and zero movement, you've got nothing to run the plan with. You'll feel foggy, tired, low, and then you'll blame yourself for being lazy when really you're just running on empty. It's hard to rebuild your life when you feel terrible every single day. So I'd keep this simple too. I wouldn't chase some perfect diet or extreme routine. I'd focus on 3 basic things. Sleep, because everything is harder when you're tired and easier when you're rested. Movement, because your body was built to move and it pays you back in energy and a clearer head. And water and real food, because what you put in your body is the fuel, everything else burns. None of this is fancy. It's the stuff you already know. But knowing it and doing it are different. And if I started over, I'd actually do the basics instead of looking for something more advanced. Get your energy up, and everything else on this list gets easier. Feel good in your body, and your mind follows. It's all connected, and it starts with taking care of the machine. The 6th move, clear out what's draining you. Now this one's a little harder, but it matters, so I'll be honest about it. If I started over, I'd take a real look at what and who is draining me, and I'd create some space. Some of the weight you're carrying isn't your habits or your money. It's the stuff around you, the environment that keeps pulling you back. The people who, maybe without even meaning to, keep you stuck in the old version of yourself. You know the ones. The people who roll their eyes when you try to change. The people who only want to do the things that keep you both stuck. The situations that drain your energy and leave you with nothing left for the life you're trying to build. I'm not telling you to cut everyone off and burn it all down. That's dramatic and usually wrong. But I would create a little distance from what drains me and a little more closeness with what lifts me up. Even small changes here matter. Spend a bit more time with the people who make you want to be better, and a bit less with the ones who keep you small. Change your environment, even in tiny ways, because your environment is quietly shaping you every day, whether you notice it or not. You're heavily influenced by what surrounds you. So if you're trying to become someone new, you have to give that new person room to actually exist. Clear a little space. Let the new you breathe. The 7th move, choose consistency over intensity. Here's the one that ties it all together. And if you only take one thing from this whole video, make it this. If I started over, I would choose consistency over intensity every single time. Intensity is the big, dramatic effort, the 12-hour day, the extreme diet, the all or nothing push. And intensity feels great because it feels like you're doing something huge. But intensity burns out. It's a sprint. And life is not a sprint. You can't sprint for years. Consistency is boring. It's the small thing done over and over on the good days and the bad days, whether you feel like it or not. It doesn't feel impressive in the moment. Nobody claps for you for doing the small thing again. But consistency is the only thing that actually compounds. The small habit kept for a year beats the massive effort that lasts a week and dies. It's not even close. So if I started fresh, I would fall in love with boring consistency. I'd stop trying to have huge days and start trying to have a huge number of normal, decent days stacked one on top of the other. Because that stack is what a new life actually is. It's not one big moment. It's 1,000 small ones you barely noticed while they were happening. Now I have to be honest with you about something. Because if I don't, you'll think you're doing it wrong when you're actually doing it right. Starting over feels bad before it feels good. There's a messy middle, and almost nobody warns you about it. Here's what happens. You start making the small changes. You keep your little promises. And for a while, nothing visible happens. You don't see results yet, but you've given up the old comforts, so you're kind of stuck in between. You left the old life, but you haven't arrived at the new one. And that gap feels awful. It's the exact moment most people quit, because they think the lack of results means it isn't working. But that feeling is not a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're in the middle, and the middle is just part of it. Everything you're building is happening under the surface where you can't see it yet, like roots growing before anything shows above the ground. If you quit in the messy middle, you never get to see what all that quiet work was adding up to. So when it feels like nothing's happening and you want to give up, that's not the sign to stop. That's the sign you're right in the middle of it working. Keep going a little longer than feels comfortable. That's where it turns. It's not too late. And I want to say this next part directly to whoever needs it, because I know somebody watching this feels like they've missed their window. You feel like you're too old or too far behind, or you've wasted too much time to start over now. I need you to hear me. That's a story, and it's not a true one. The time is going to pass anyway. A year from now is coming whether you start or not. The only question is whether you arrive at that future having started or having waited. You're not too late. You've just been telling yourself you are because it's a comfortable excuse that lets you off the hook. Every single day is a place you can start from. Not the new year, not Monday, not when things calm down. Today. The most ordinary day is a completely valid place to begin again. I've started over when I felt like I'd already blown my shot. And looking back, the only wasted time was the time I spent believing it was too late to start. The starting was never the wasted part, the waiting was. So let me bring it all home, simply, because that's the whole point. If I had to start over from nothing, here's what I'd do. I'd put down the weight of the old me and forgive the version that got it wrong. I'd start so small it feels silly, and I'd keep the promise, because keeping promises to yourself is the foundation for everything. I'd clean up what goes into my head. I'd get the money basics right before chasing more. I'd take care of my body, because it runs everything. I'd make some space from what drains me. And above all, I'd choose boring consistency over dramatic intensity every single time. None of it is fancy. None of it is a secret. It's all simple. And that's exactly why it works, because simple is the only thing you can actually keep doing when life gets hard. You don't need a new year, a new city, or a perfect plan. You need one small, honest step, taken today, and then another one tomorrow. That's how every new life gets built. Quietly, one ordinary day at a time. You can start over. You always could. So start today, right now, with whatever you've got. Keep it simple. I'll see you in the next one.